Danny Carlson, we appreciate you joining us on this breaking news story.
Yeah, thank you.
Very much.
Thanks.
New information now about one military family targeted by ISIS. A service member and his teenage son threatened online by Islamic State militants. That's what a counterterrorism source is telling Fox's Catherine Herridge. We're told the terrorists believed the father was a U.S. Air Force pilot who posted Facebook photographs of a flight over Iraq during a recent bombing mission. The details are now on the wall. ISIS apparently found the service member's Facebook profile and his son's Facebook page and, quote, swarmed them with harassing messages. Fox News has learned Pentagon officials received word of the incident and the two Facebook accounts went dark soon. An Army intelligence bulletin just last week warned ISIS was calling on supporters to look up the addresses of U.S. service members and their families and show up at their doorsteps and, quote, slaughter them. The document recommended soldiers limit the number of people who can see their social media profiles. Dan O'Shea is a former Navy SEAL, and he is now the vice president of a private security firm. Dan, good to have you today. Why in the world, I guess I should say, you're a military member, you probably don't want to have that information out there anyway. Not to blame the victim in any way, shape, or form here, but I'm surprised that the military wouldn't have done that to begin with.
Well, the military is very strict about these rules. It's called OPSEC, or Operational Security, and certainly any active duty member is read the Riot Act about limiting your profile. In fact, most organizations would strongly suggest you don't even have a Facebook page. So, but again, this group, ISIS, ISIL, they are extraordinarily effective at social media, and they're just proving it. And this incident right here just raises the stakes that they're very serious about raising the targeting threat level to be felt here at home by veterans of Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom, and whatever they're going to call this operation that is currently ongoing to counter ISIS, ISIL in Syria and Iraq right now.
Wow, you just touched on a whole mouthful in that sentence, and I want to slow you down because that's been something that people have been talking about all day long, how we don't have a name for the mission. Real quickly, what that means to you, and then we'll get back to this.
Well, obviously, you know, until you can coalesce behind the mission itself, be it whatever you're going to call it, I think it just goes to kind of a disjointed strategy about trying to take ISIS, ISIL on. So that's just a metaphor for a lot of other things that I think are tied to what we're facing trying to counter ISIS, who seems to be 2 steps ahead of us every step of the way.
Okay, so Dan, you've got this new threat online against our service members and their families here. Is this kind of the new battleground? I mean, you hear about cyber warfare, but this is a completely different beast now.
Absolutely. There were threats early on in the war that said that the successful campaign in Afghanistan, that there were messages on boards, jihadist boards, saying they should track down, members involved in Afghanistan early on and target their families. But it never really went anywhere. But now you've got a group that is so effective at social media and how to counter the message, and they're doing it with Westerners. In fact, the simple fact that the foreign fighters in Iraq and Syria are largely coming from the West, whereas in the past you would hear about foreign fighters that meant coming from the Gulf states in the Arab world. But now they're doing a very successful recruiting campaign online, and this attack on this family, it just goes to show how effective their message is and how effective they are getting it out to the World Wide Web.
Boy, I tell you, there's very little we could accomplish in the world without military families. We really want to keep them safe. Navy SEAL, former, but always a Navy SEAL. Dan O'Shea, thank you very much.